Hey everyone, Sirturmund here again. So today I wanted to bring you guys something a little bit different. So the end of the season is fast approaching. So we have right around a week left of the ranked season, a little bit more than a week. So for those of you guys who are still in gold, still in platinum, still in diamond, just trying to make that last climb to the next tier, I wanted to give you guys 4 decks that I think are the best 4 decks to climb with at this moment. And the way that I define the best decks to climb with are decks that are having really good win rate in ladder right now, and also their games in average are a little bit shorter, right? So stuff like Feel the Rush, while it's a good deck, I don't think it's a good deck to climb this late into the season because the games can take a little bit longer than some of your other decks, like the ones I have up here. So the 4 decks that I'm gonna cover today are gonna be Aphelios Fizz, Pantheon Yuumi, Pirate Aggro, and Scouts. Now, if you look at leaderboards and a lot of like tracking websites that keep track of ladder stats, you'll see that especially Pirate Aggro and Scouts have like really crazy win rates of like 55% or plus. Pantheon Yuumi is like right around that 54% win rate, and Aphelios Fizz is around that 50% win rate. Now, some of these decks are a lot easier to play than others. So I'm going to start with like the easy ones to play with and then move on to some of the harder ones to play with, just so that you get an idea. And hopefully you can pick one of these 4 decks to be able to climb with and get to the next tier that you need before the end of the season finishes next week. So the way that it's going to work is that I guess I'm going to cover each deck, do a quick breakdown of my deck list, and then show one game for each of the decks. So you can use the chapters in the video below to kind of skip from one deck to the other. And again, like always, if you like the content, if you like this type of different content, then please make sure to like the video below and also subscribe to us. And give me any other idea in the comments if there's anything else like this that you want to see me do in the channel that's not our typical deck showcase. But anyways, hope you enjoyed these 4 decks and good luck for those of you who still need to climb to the next tier. I hope that you guys can make it there. I'll see you all at the end of the video. So the first deck I wanted to present to you guys is Pirate Aggro. If you're looking for a deck to climb with, like the top deck to climb with in my opinion right now is this deck. Not only do you get fast games, but you also have a pretty good matchup table across a lot of the popular decks in the meta right now. So you're able to beat a lot of the Shuriba decks, right? So this deck is going to do really well against Sundisk. It's going to do really well against Pantheon Yuumi. It's going to do really well into Ziggs Taliyah, right? So there's a lot of good decks that this deck goes well into that are in the current meta. Now, the opposite though, the problem is that you do lose against Scouts and Aphelios Fizz. 2 decks that are starting to see a lot of popularity here because of their performance in the seasonal tournaments and community tournaments. So you gotta be careful. You gotta see play by ear to see which one you run into. But if you're looking for fast games to climb with while still having a very strong deck, Pirate Aggro is the list that I recommend for you. And the list that I'm presenting to you guys today is pretty standard. So if you guys haven't been keeping track, you're no longer running triple Gangplank. So we're now back to just 1 Gangplank and instead running 2 Twisted Fate. And the reason for that is because Twisted Fate gives you some utility that you're able to clear. You're able to stun opponents in some situations. You're able to clear opponents' boards if they have a lot of 1 health units, right? So it can be more of a utility pick than relying on GP, which can be hard to level up with this deck sometimes. Now, the rest of the deck is very straightforward. We have 9, well, I guess 3, 6, 9, 12 1-drops. I can't count. We have 12 1-drops, right? You always want to start your turn 1 with one of these 1-drops, especially if you have the odd tokens. That way you're able to get some damage through right away from the start of the game. So we have 12 1-drops. Then we have our 2-drops, which are Demolitionist, Grenadier, Warden. So Warden lets us go wide. Grenadier is just a really good unit that can also do 1 damage to the Nexus. And the Demolitionist is just burn, right? So reach the face. Then our 3-drop, we play Misfortune. Misfortune is so good with Pirate Aggro because she's always constantly pushing 1 damage when she attacks. Now, remember, you're not playing Scouts. You're playing Pirate Aggro, which means that you don't need to have Misfortune level up to win the game. So do not be afraid to attack with Misfortune in a lot of situations, because if you're attacking with Misfortune and another unit, even if the opponent blocks a Misfortune, your other unit is still pushing damage, right? I see a lot of people make this mistake where they keep the Misfortune back and just attack with, like, let's say a rear guard, and then the opponent blocks the rear guard, and then what? Now what? Now you like only push 1 damage when you could potentially push 4 damage with the 3 damage from the rear guard. So remember, you don't need Misfortune to level up. Attack with her. Don't be afraid of doing that. And then obviously we have some burn. So we played 3 Knots in Fervor, which is the key burn for Noxus. And actually, instead of Make It Rain, we played 2 Sigil of Malice. Make It Rain doesn't feel that great in the current meta. It doesn't hit a lot of things. And Sigil of Malice kind of allows you some additional reach to do 2 damage to the opponent's Nexus, because this can target anything. It's always going to probably cost 3 mana because you're almost never going to hit Reputation. Actually, it's impossible for you to hit Reputation unless your Gangplank hits for 4 times. But that's okay. 3 mana, deal 2 to the Nexus is still worth it in my opinion. 2 Island Navigator, because it can synergize with the Corsair or with the Misfortune, allowing you to do 1 more Nexus damage, as well as her herself being able to allow you to go wide. We talked about Twisted Fate. 3 Sap will always draw you into Fervor or Sigil of Malice, allowing you to push 3 or 2 damage to the Nexus, 3 Decimate to just burn the opponent down, and then 1 Gangplank. This deck is really, really good and plays really, really fast and has some really good matchups in the current meta. So I would recommend, if you're looking for a deck to climb with, this is the one I recommend. Although the other 3 that I'm going to showcase later in the video are also really, really good and have the advantage that they can be, at least with Scouts and Aphelios, can also beat this deck as well. So, but anyways, hope you enjoyed the 2 games that I showcases with this deck. Because they were quick games, I was able to fit 2 of them in there to give you an idea of how this deck plays out. And I also post a link below in the description of a previous video that I did on Pirate Aggro in case you're looking for more gameplay. So yeah, enjoy the games. So in this matchup, we'll be going against Taliyah Xerath. Interesting. So it's not Mono Shurima and it's not Ziggs Taliyah, but it should be very similar, which means that it should still be vulnerable to us just beating them with aggro. Because that's the weakness with Shurima decks. They're pretty bad against aggro decks. Now here's the question. Is it Rearguard or is it Saboteur? Usually they have the 1 drop. So the 1 drop is able to block either one of these units. So I think we always go with Saboteur so that we can push at least 1 damage. We have another set of 1 drops here. Oh yeah, perfect. So here we can do the Rearguard to eat up the Rolling Sands, and then we do the Corsair. If you want, oh, I guess that's fine. I mean, you're still gonna have to block this guy next turn anyways, right? So I don't mind doing this. I'm actually gonna do the second Corsair as well. And even do the Precious Pet. I think at this point we can just go super wide, even if the opponent has blockers. Now, what we want to do here is that we want to attack with everything. Because opponent would want to block, if opponent doesn't block the units that have the more attack, then they end up losing value. So they end up losing too much damage, right? Like if they try to block the Corsairs, then they will take an extra 2 damage from here and an extra damage from here, right? So they're forced to leave the Corsairs alive, and then they get to attack again next turn, and we get another 2 ping to the Nexus. So sometimes you have to be willing to just attack with everything. It's perfect because next turn we also get the Sap Spray Fin, meaning that we're able to refill our hand a little bit. This kind of sucks. Opponent gets to get another blocker, which this is a little bit unfortunate. How do we do this then? So we have 4 points of damage in our hand. This is pushing 2 plus another 4 here. 2 plus 2, that's 4. That's 8. We're still slightly off. This is gonna be close now. Because the opponent got this card, if the opponent also has Quicksand, then we're in trouble here. Because it means the Sap will not be able to actually get any damage through. So the only way that we can win this if this Sap gets through. Yeah, there you go. So he gets the Quicksand. We still get to push 2 damage. What we can try to do instead is play GP. And then have the Grenadier as well. I still think the GP is correct. What we're going to have to probably do is we're going to have to probably block. Like sacrifice one of our Corsairs. If the opponent lets us summon the Grenadier, that's better because it gives us a fearsome blocker. We get the Decimate. Okay. That's good for us. We get a fearsome blocker. If we ever get in trouble, we can always do this as well. He's going to go after the GP, which I guess is actually correct. I guess he has to do it that way, right? Why drag here? Yeah, so this is going to be game already, right? We get advantage of the powder keg. Next turn we have the lethal here. If opponent does the Rhino Negation here, We can always do a second Sigil of Malice and it still push 4 damage. So we have 2 ways to win, right? So next, opponent's down to 4 HP now. Our open attack is pushing 2 damage. Our Decimate is pushing the 4 that we need. So one way or the other, okay, well, if I doing it like this, it does kind of stop some damage. I'm still going to keep the Sigil of Malice in my hand. No need to do it at this moment. I guess opponent can actually win here if they have... I'm going to do the Saboteur first. Hopefully he taps out a Rider Negation. Opponent's going to have to... Yeah, opponent's going to have to try to draw. The only way for the opponent to stop this... Yeah, so this is already dealing 2. This is the last 2 that we need, and this is the last 2 that we need as well. And we have enough mana to do either one of them. Our opponent can only have 1 Rider Negation, which is not going to be enough. If the opponent does the Rider Negation right now to stop this, the opponent still dies to the Decimate. Alright? So now for sure we win no matter what. And this is the power of this deck, that you can just burn people down so easily by just, you know, doing whatever. So let's see it. You have Rider Negation. There it is. And then the second Sigil of Malice. And that's game. Exact lethal. Exact lethal is all that matters. And the reason that we got that exact lethal, by the way, is because we were not afraid to attack with the Corsair. What, 2 turns ago? 3 turns ago? Some people sometimes get a little bit too greedy with that Corsair, and it ends up punishing them. So yeah, GG's. So in this matchup, we'll be going up against... Ooh, okay. Viktor Ezreal. It's a little bit of a problem. They have a lot of ways to kill our units. A lot of ways to kill our units. I'm actually gonna kick the Precious Pet and try to see if we can find like Misfortune, or we can go a little bit wider. Because this problem is gonna have Mystic. This deck is gonna have Mystic Shot, Pokey Sticks, right? Which is why I don't think the Precious Pet was gonna be that crucial. At least the rear guard doesn't die to a Thermo or a Pokey Stick right away. It forces the opponent to have a blocker. Doesn't have it, so we get to push 3 damage here. And then we do the same thing. I want to force the opponent to have like a Mystic Shot to be able to deal with like these units. Okay, well, he gets the Oedipus, so... Let's do the Grenadier first, and then next time we do the Corsair plus the Warden. So that means he just top decked that. Opponent's gonna have access to 6 mana, so they'll have access to do a lot of things. I'm gonna do the Marai Warden first, because no matter what, I'm gonna do that one, right? Together with the Corsair or the Region Rearguard. The question that I'm trying to have right here is, which one do I do? Do I do the Rearguard or do I do the Corsair? So this can steal back to a Mystic as well. And so can this, though. Man, that's looking juicy for Twisted Fate. Although, unfortunately, won't be able to wait. I think we have to definitely attack. Opponent has enough to do 2 Mystic shots. So they probably just Mystic this and Mystic this, and they still get hit by 2 damage. If we go like this, they can still do the same thing. This is slightly pushing more damage. I think this is pushing slightly more damage than Corsair. And then we can try to set up the Navigator with the Corsair and a Twisted Fate on the following turn, right? Because the Navigator will count twice for the Corsair, be able to hit twice. Opponent got something from Conchologist, probably got a Pokey Stick or something. So he could have Pokey Stick plus Mystic, and then that means only one of our units gets to go through. Because he has blockers for the other 2. I wonder if it's ever correct. Ooh, Bouncing Bomb. Alright. So that's even better. That means we have 2 units that can go through. I think we still attack. It's tempting to wait for Twisted Fate next turn, but I don't think that's correct. I think we just attack here. We push the 6 damage. I guess actually 7. So we push the 7 damage. Opponent's down to 10 HP. We can do Navigator and have... okay, well that's annoying. If that's the case... I kind of don't want to let him get that free kill here. I kind of don't want to let him get that free kill. I don't want to let him get that free kill. Because he will get access to like a Mystic Shot, right? Now... He does get another blocker here, unfortunately. So how do we do this? I like the idea of going wide. So let's go like this, and we can do the Corsair as well. But it has 2 pranks, but using pranks right now doesn't matter to him. I still think we also go Corsair. So then, right, so that's the Pokey Stick. So opponent does Pokey Stick. So opponent still has 4 mana. We do the Corsair. This is gonna push. Opponent has to be forced to Mystic Shot this. Oh wow, okay, well, I guess we just get this. We just get a free damage here. Opponent blocks with Viktor. Doesn't even block with Viktor. I guess he's looking to just kill Twisted Fate. Killing Twisted Fate is a mistake though, because we have a second Twisted Fate. We have 2 units that can get through, which is probably going to be... So we're pushing 4 damage here. Opponent's going to be down to 3 HP. Yeah, opponent's going to be down to 3 HP, and then we have the Decimate to finish him up. Even if he does the prank, we still have plenty of mana. He decides to kill Twisted Fate, which I think is pretty crazy. That means that he has Static Shock, right? So I don't think the opponent puts these 2 units at 1 HP unless he has Static Shock. So Twisted Fate and Decimate are pretty good here. We even have a second Corsair now. So what? He's going to try to hit the Decimate. I said that we just win with the Decimate next turn. We also just win by going wide, by the way. Does he get the lifesteal? I guess that's the question. So if the opponent gets the lifesteal, he wins the game. He gets elusive. That's not enough. So we're just going to do this. I'm going to keep Twisted Fate for just a second. Because I want to red card if the opponent does like a Octopus, right? So let's say that the opponent gets another prank right here. Okay, and this should be game. So this is going to be game because we're going to do this. We're going to do red card on the Twisted Fate, right? We're going to do red card on Twisted Fate. And then by attacking with the Navigator on the next turn, we're pushing 2 damage just because of the Corsair. And then we push an additional 2. Now it does mean that we don't have mana for Decimate here. We're going to be 1 off. But that's fine. And there you go. That should be lethal here. Just because of the Corsair skill. Opponent will have to spend their mana just to what? Do they have any way to negate this? I don't think they do. So yeah, that's GG right there on the spot. We probably could have been better to attack with everything, to be honest. Just to play around the opponent being able to get lifesteal on the Viktor. But yeah, it ends up working out. So yeah, GG's. So the second deck that I recommend to climb rank with is Scouts. So Scouts is very good because Scouts can actually beat stuff like Aphelios Fizz. It can beat stuff like Pirate Aggro, Draven Scion, Spiders, you know, like it can beat aggro decks. It can beat Aphelios Fizz, and it can also do well into some control decks like Feel the Rush, right? Because you can rush them down with the rally. He also has a decent matchup against stuff like Taliyah 6 and Sundus because you can just overwhelm them with how fast you can attack. The problem is that it does suffer versus Pantheon Yuumi. And Pantheon Yuumi is still one of those popular decks out there. So you have to be careful. If you're running into a lot of Pantheon Yuumi, then I wouldn't recommend Scouts. But if you're running into a lot of aggro, for example, which is likely because we're getting so close to the season and people are trying to climb fast, then I recommend Scouts. This is my list for Scouts, which is pretty standard these days, right? So 3 Fleet Feather, 2 Squires are 1-drops. I only play 1 Ranger's Resolve because instead of playing 2 Resolve, I like to play 1 Resolve, 1 Blinding Assault. I think Blinding Assault can be really good as sometimes turbo leveling Misfortune. So I like the 1-1 split. 3 Brightsteel, 3 Sculptor, 2 Mirai, 3 Broadwind are 2-drops to allow us to just fill the board really quickly. 3 Sharpsight, pretty standard, lets us protect our units and can block elusives. 3 Misfortune, straightforward. 1 Shield of Durant to be able to protect Misfortune against stuff like Rite of Arcane. 3 Bang Surgeon is an alternate win condition for Misfortune because we can go really wide with Mirai and Quinn and Navigator to be able to then buffer with a For Demacia. 3 Rallies, straightforward. 3 Quinn, 3 Navigators are Scouts units to be able to level up Misfortune. And then I do play a split of 2 Citra, 1 Jenny. Because usually, you know, you tend to win the game more earlier than going that late with one of these units. So I don't think it's necessary to go 2 and 2 or to play more than 3 of your 6 drops. So this is the breakdown that I do. Again, I think you want to be able to almost always hard mulligan for Misfortune, because the difference between winning with Misfortune and not having it in your hand are like day and night. Like having Misfortune in your hand or summon on turn 3 or 4 makes a complete big difference and increases your win percentage. So I will usually hard mulligan for Misfortune unless I need to have some early blockers, like if we go against aggro, then keeping the Squire or the Fleet Feather are good. If you have the Fleet Feather per supply still combo, it might be decent, you know. So just keep that in mind. And then against FTR, I like to keep at least 1 rally, just because you can usually catch them when they tap out of mana and be able to do the rally to just win the game. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this deck. Again, like I showcased 2 games because the games went a little bit fast as well, just like a Pirate Aggro deck. And again, just another alternative if you're looking for a quick deck to climb with. And then after that, we'll jump ahead to Aphelios Fizz. So in this matchup, we'll be going up against Pirate Aggro. Okay, so this should be a very good matchup for us. Scouts does really well into like aggro decks. Ooh, we also have a pretty good hand. Honestly, double Misfortune doesn't seem horrible. I'm gonna greet this out. I'm gonna greet it out. I think double Misfortune gives us access to make it rain, which can actually hit some of their stuff, right? We even get the lead here. Okay, well, that's kind of sucks because opponent gets to get rid of their 1 health unit, which is the stuff we want to target with double Misfortune. But even without that, double Misfortune allows us to not be afraid to block with Misfortune, right? I'm gonna do the Bright Steel. So I'm gonna do the Bright Steel just so that we have a blocker. Don't think I need to attack. Don't think I need to attack. We have 2 things we can do here. We can do the second Bright Steel. Or we can just do Misfortune. But if we do Misfortune, we're taking 3 damage. I think it's fine. Then we can do the Navigator and start leveling up the Misfortune. So now we can do the Navigator, start leveling up Misfortune, which I think is going to be a better win condition than trying to get greedy. Next up, we can stop one of his attacks with the Bright Steel Protector, which is pretty good. Opponent should have a way to kill Misfortune unless they Fervor, and that's 1 less Fervor that goes to face, and then we just play the second Misfortune. Neither of his units can block this, because this becomes a 5 attack unit. Opponent might just take this damage as it is, to be honest. Yeah, I think opponent's just gonna... Okay, I thought he was gonna just take that damage. I guess it actually doesn't make sense for him to take this damage. Because we're always blocking the Ballista, right? With the Navigator, which has 4 health. So what's the point of doing that? So now we just do this. And we win the game. Opponent's gonna have to kill Misfortune with a Fervor next turn to be able to stop it from leveling up. That's such a nice Make It Rain hit, huh? Gotta love it when the Make It Rain hits exactly what he needs to. We can also do Citra next turn, by the way. So we can also do Citra next turn. There's 2 options here. I think we block here. And I think we block here. I think we block like this. Okay, opponent's pushing a lot of damage. We go down to... Go down to 6. Opponent has exactly 6 mana, so they could actually kill us if the opponent has double Fervor. If they don't have double Fervor, they then just lose right here. I like open attacking to stop play around like a TF. Actually, double Fervor is not enough because opponent doesn't have 2 units. And opponent just stepped out of Decimate mana, so this should be game. Is Citra guaranteed lethal? Opponent still has TF. Opponent still has Twisted Fate, so they could potentially kill this girl. But if they kill, actually, it's not. Oh man, the Twisted Fate. If we just open, it's not enough for lethal if the opponent has a Fervor. So let's say that the opponent has the Fervor. This is the thing that... Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. If we play Citra, opponent can stun the Citra with a Twist... Oh, wait, they don't play Twisted Fate. So if the opponent's not playing Twisted Fate, then it's always Citra, right? So it could always be just going super wide. Yeah, we can just go super wide. We can just go super wide and just call it a day. I don't know. I'm so used to the Pirate Aggro not having Twisted Fate that it took me by surprise that the opponent doesn't have Twisted Fate. So I guess a tip from me is to check your opponent's champions. Because the Twisted Fate punished the Citra develop by stunning her, right? Which was my concern. Now we do need to attack to play about a third Demolitionist. Just in case that the opponent has one more Demolitionist, we need to attack right now. There should be nothing with 2 mana that the opponent has in the regions to be able to stop this. So this is lethal here. But yeah, the Twisted Fate stun punished the Citra. If we develop another Navigator, he also punished the develop by killing Misfortune with the stun. So I was trying to see what the best play would be to play around Twisted Fate. And it ended up not mattering anyways. Because the open attack wasn't lethal if the opponent had a Fervor to be able to kill the Misfortune. Because they could have Phantom Block with another unit and the opponent would have survived at 1 HP. Because the Misfortune was already hurt by the Mega Man from before. So yeah, GG's. So in this matchup, we'll be going up against Braum Akshan. Let's see how this goes. I really like the Surgeon, to be honest. I really like the Surgeon. The Surgeon is like an alternate win condition in case that you don't draw the Misfortune. So I think keeping one Surgeon is okay, even if we're not like hard mulliganing for Misfortune, because it's not always necessary to just hard mulligan for Misfortune. Ever since Surgeon got, ever since Surgeon became like an alternate win condition for this deck, so I'm okay keeping this hand. We end up getting the Sculpture plus the Broadwind combo, which is pretty good for us. Plus having Sharpside available as well, which buffs the Broadwind health more than anything else. So how do we do this here? Oh, we even get a Fleet Feather, so we can kind of... Do we want to play the Fleet Feather now? Honestly, 2 health and 1 health doesn't really matter. I think playing the Fleet Feather right now is not bad. It's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. It can punish the opponent developing action early. Well, it's not going to punish. It's going to stop them from developing action entirely. Because now opponent will be very scared of developing... He will not be able to develop action next turn. Just because we'll have a way to be able to kill the action with our Fleet Feather Tracker. So we'll go like this. Yeah, there you go. We get to push the 4 damage. Even if the opponent gets to develop the action right here, I think I'm okay with that. Oh, they don't have it at all, which is interesting. So no action at all. It's pretty good for us. So this is gonna die anyways. We can do... There's a couple things we can do here. I think it has to be the Surgeon. It's kind of tempting to do this. But I think I like the Surgeon here. Even if we sacrifice into the Merciless Hunter. I feel like I'd rather just not take this damage. Opponent doesn't even decide to go for it, which means that they probably have... Do they have another... Do they have like a Troll Shen to stop this, I guess, for next turn? I'm gonna go wide. Gonna go wide with the Broadwind and just keep the mana for the Ranger's Resolve. Okay, that's, that's a little bit annoying. It is what it is. So let's see. Opponent probably has Troll Shen, but we're still pushing 6. Doesn't have it. So they lose the Merciless Hunter anyways. We can block this with this next turn, or with this as well. And we can settle for a big for Demacia on turn 6. Are we ever doing Misfortune instead? I'm gonna do Quinn. I'm gonna do Quinn. So that the opponent knows that we can threaten for Demacia, right? Okay, Bakai. We still have Ranger's Resolve, so I'm not too concerned about that. And if the opponent goes like this, they just get punished by Misfortune next turn. I think we actually go for the Misfortune next, especially since the opponent just put their unit of 1 health. The only problem is that freaking Braum is going to potentially level up. Misfortune actually ends up helping him level up. We can even do the Sculpture into Misfortune to give her a little bit more health while still having Sharp Side available. Alright. We can actually kill the Braum with Sharp Side on the Browin if we wanted to. Yeah, that's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. He's gonna need to have a Shapestone. So opponent's gonna need to have a Shapestone. Doesn't look like they have it. I'm gonna go ahead and try to kill this Braum. I think killing Braum is important. Second Braum is a punish here because then the opponent can do the take card, right? So let's say the opponent has take heart here. Then we get punished by pulling that way. If that's the case, I don't mind this guy. Actually, this is just lethal, isn't it? This is just lethal. Yeah, we have lethal on the field. Yeah, this is lethal already here because Misfortune gets to attack. Doesn't matter which one we pull. If the opponent tries to save the Braum, they still end up losing. So yeah, GG's. So now we move on to Aphelios Fizz. If you have not been living under a rock, then you should have seen this deck become really popular in the past couple of weeks. And the reason for that is that Aphelios Fizz has a really good matchup table and it's a really good deck against a lot of things in the current meta. It does really well into Shurima decks, so stuff like Sun Disc and stuff like Ziggs Taliyah, because of the way that Quicksand does not interact with Rainbow Fish. So if you guys saw my video a couple of days ago on the Shadow Owls Phase Swarm deck, you saw how our opponents kept misplaying by trying to do the Quicksand on a unit that has Rainbow Fish. It does not remove the elusive, so you don't have to worry about stuff like Quicksand, right? He also does really well against most aggro decks because we're able to swarm the board so quickly. Most aggro decks are not able to keep up with this deck, and he also actually doesn't have a losing matchup against stuff like Field the Rush or the control decks. So this deck does really well against all that stuff. Now, what it does loses to, it loses to Pantheon decks, it loses to Scouts, it loses to Echo Sealing as well. So it loses to like those more rally-oriented Demacia type of decks, with Echo Sealing being the exception because you're able to also rally there even though you're not Demacia, that are also able to float the board really quickly. So aside from those decks though, this tends to do really well against almost everything else in the field. Now, this deck is a lot harder to navigate, right? Compared to Scouts and Pirates, which we already discussed in the video earlier, this deck is a lot more difficult to pick up and learn. So I will only suggest you climb this if you have already played this before, or if you think you have enough time in the next week to be able to put a lot of hours into this deck and learn it while you're climbing. Because once you learn it, I think this is going to be one of the easiest decks to climb with. If you guys know Kever, part of the Master Runeterra team, he reached rank 1 using Fizz Aphelios. So really good deck to climb with in the current meta. Now, my list is pretty standard. A little bit things different with everybody in their list, right? So Face Sprout is the standard, Fizz is the standard. Instead of going 3 Yodo Squire, I like to go 1 Lunari Dustbringer and 2 Squires to be able to synergize a little bit more with Aphelios while still being able to have that 1 drop that gives me like a spell. 1 Trinket Tray, it's kind of like a backup spell usage. 3 Librarian, 3 Chronologist, 3 Grandfather Fates are pretty standard in mostly every single list. The 1 Commando depends on list per list. I like it as a way to continue getting more hungry Owlcats to be able to actually go with the spam win condition, the swarm win condition. 1 Flame Spitter to be able to trigger Fizz or be able to put in one of our units with like double attack, for example. 2 Guiding Touch, 3 Bell Cascade, 3 Pokey. You're playing Target, you're playing Abandoned City, so you're going to play this card. This standard. 3 Aphelios. Aphelios tends to not be the main win condition of your deck. Your main win condition is going to be Gleaming Lantern, and you're swarming the board with Grandfather Fate, Owlcats, etc. As you'll see in some of the games today. Aphelios, though, is pretty good against like aggro matchup, right? Because you can do the lifesteal weapon. So he's more like a going long type of game plan. But he's still really good. A really good combo as well is to put Overwhelm on a unit that has the Papercraft Dragon on it to be able to push that double attack Overwhelm damage. 3 Gleaming Lantern is the key of this deck. I will hard mulligan for Gleaming Lantern most of the time. And I will suggest you do as well. It's so easy to swarm the board when you have Gleaming Lantern on the field. I like to play some defensive tools in my deck. Not a lot of people do it. So I like one Stress Defense, one Wallop. These two cards are enough to try to at least stop some of the Pantheon decks, some of the big Overwhelm hits, some of the Diego decks, for example, and allows just that one extra turn to be able to actually finish the game. You can also, like, Wallop is also really good at stopping like an Overwhelm Taliyah, Overwhelm Ziggs, etc. And then lastly, the two attached units, which is 2 Rainbow Fish and 1 Paper Cut Dragon, attach them to your units and they become busted. Simple as that. Just like the other decks, what I'll do is that in the description below, I will post my deck list. I post an old video of this list as well. And I also post other guides and other videos that I find across the community to just help you guys out. Like even if it's other content creators. Because I think at this point, you just need all the help you can get to that platinum, diamond, or master tier. So yeah. So if you like this deck and this is your choice that you want to climb with, just look in the description for more materials on it. And then we'll move on to the next one, which is going to be Pantheon Yuumi after these games that you're about to watch with Fizz Aphelios. So in this matchup, we'll be going up against FTR, so Feel the Rush. So Aphelios Fizz has like a 50% win rate, I will say, against FTR. And one of the ways that we can win is by going super aggressive early on. And I think keeping this hand allows me to do that. Wow, okay, yeah, keeping this hand allows me to do that. Now, the Grandfather Fae is a little bit more vulnerable to Avalanche and Ravines than I would like to. But it might still be okay, right? So we can do this right here. We can do the Gleaming Lantern next turn and summon a Grandfather Fae in response. Opponent can potentially just, like, opponent probably wants to do something next turn, right? They don't just want to pass. So it's very likely that the opponent does their... What's it called? It's... Whoa! Alright. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this and it like force the opponent to have to vengeance this pretty much. And if the opponent vengeances this, then we're still in a good spot in my opinion. Okay, Balfie, so that gives him the blocker. But we're still able to, okay, if we do this, let's greed it out. Let's greed it out and summon the second Grandfather Fae so that our units can get very big. Now, we're big enough now that we can just go super ham. I like the second Gleaming Lantern. I want to keep Pale Cascade mana. So the reason I want to keep Pale Cascade mana is to be able to buff this Librarian up. So let's say that the opponent has an Avalanche right here. Like, look at this hand. Like, look at this board, I mean, sorry. Look at this board. What is the opponent going to do against this? I was literally presenting 20 damage there. This is nuts. I'm going to Pale right now. I want to force the opponent to have to kill this and tap out of being able to do Ravine. So the opponent probably wants to be able to do Blighted Ravine. Wow. You see how nutty these hands can get? So even if the opponent does a Blighted Ravine right here, okay, well, it's a well. So they get to heal up. So it has to be like Ravine next turn then to be able to stop us from developing, and that still leaves the Librarian alive. If it's not Ravine, we can just develop the Alcat, which still has Spell Shield. Wow. And that's game. That's game just because of how wide we're able to go. You can kind of see how crazy this Fizz Aphelios deck can just pull out wins. The main win condition is that Swarm condition. So yeah, GG's. So in this matchup, we'll be going up against Azir Irelia. This is an interesting matchup. I think if we get Aphelios, we have a much higher chance than if we don't get Aphelios. Pokestick seems tempting. So Pokestick is tempting against Sparring Student and the duo, but it might be a little bit too greedy. It might have been a little bit too greedy to keep the Pokestick, to be honest. Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. Unless the opponent summons the duo here for some reason. Then we actually get it rewarded by keeping it. What we can do is that we can do the Grandfather Fae plus the... We can do the Grandfather Fae and do the Alcat. Opponent probably has a Seer though. Okay, well, if he does this, I'm actually gonna pass. I'm gonna try to buff up the Alcat with the second Grandfather Fade instead. That way, then we can put Rainbow Fish on the Alcat and be able to go from there. Bunny's gonna go ahead and kill this with Rite of Calling to be able to guarantee they draw their Azir or the Irelia. I still think we grid it out. And we just go second Grandfather Fade and do the hungry Alcats together. That's a little bit unfortunate that the opponent got Irelia, because Irelia, I don't think I agree with this. So I don't think I agree with the opponent. I'm gonna keep this one back so that we can potentially block that Doomkeeper. So what I'm gonna threaten right now is that I'm gonna do the Liberian. This is gonna stop the opponent from attacking, because if we have a Pill Cascade, yeah, see, so the opponent cannot attack with Irelia, because this is saying that, hey, if I have a Pill Cascade, we can kill your Irelia for free. If we have a Pill Cascade, we just kill your Irelia for free. So opponent cannot attack. If they attack with the Irelia, then they call my bluff. Wow, you see that? So we completely negated one of his attacks just because we were able to bluff that we had Pill Cascade in our hand. Sure. If he wants to be like, if he wants to do this, be my guess. Let's do it like this. There's two options we have here. We can do Fizz or we can do Rainbow Fish. I like the Rainbow Fish because he makes the Liberian even bigger, and he lets us push. He lets us pull. He lets us pull a card from our hand, right? From our deck. The opponent already tapped out of having Defiant Dance, so I don't have to worry about the Defiant Dance anymore, right? Which is what makes that Rainbow Fish so good on the Liberian. Don't have to worry about Defiant Dance. I have to worry about. They didn't have to worry about like almost anything else, right? I think we're just gonna take that. Let's do the Hungry Alcat right now before this guy start dying. So let's get our value from the Hungry Alcat. We have a second Rainbow Fish. Opponent's gonna need to have Defiant Dance to be able to bounce this back and force us into an aggro position. Doesn't look like they have it. In which case, I think I'm okay taking this. I'm okay blocking here now. What I'm gonna do is that I'm actually gonna. So by blocking like that, this opponent's gonna try to level up the Irelia. I'm gonna do this. Do we want to do the Rainbow Fish next turn? Or do we just want to do... I think we can just do Conchologist right here, right? Wow. We probably don't want to recall anything that the opponent might have. We can do the Heroic Refrain. Or we can do the Sleepy Trouble. So the Heroic Refrains lets me buff this up, which is not the end of the world. Okay, well, if the opponent's gonna attack like this, then we just pass, right? I mean, we just block with the Conchologist instead. So we can go like this, like this, like this. We don't need this guys anymore because we already got all our value that we need. We can do Fizz. Can do Fizz, have a pretty wide attack. We can even do the Face Sprout right now just to see that we get something. Question is here, is it ever worth it to summon the Gleaming Lantern? So let's say that the opponent has Defiant Dance right here. Opponent has 9 mana. I like the Gleaming Lantern. I like the Gleaming Lantern and then do the Rainbow Fish. If opponent has Defiant Dance, we can still just summon the Rainbow Fish and the Hungry Alcat, which gets protected from any of that nonsense. This can block most of the stuff that the opponent might do. We can just also take any attack that the opponent does, to be honest. And then we just have to save enough mana. So let's say that the opponent has Defiant Dance, right? So opponent has Defiant Dance. That's 5 of their mana. Defiant Dance on this guy. Opponent gets to summon 1 blade, that's going to be a 2. And then 2 soldiers that are going to be 2 1s. So that's going to be 6, 8 damage. We lose the elusive here. I think we attack. I think we actually attack. Homecoming is kind of annoying. I think we attack, because what we're going to do is that we're probably going to do the place for Trickster. To be able to bounce, to be able to like send something back, right? I like this. I like this. Because we have the playful Trickster, it's a really good punish against the opponent. So, let's say that the opponent has... Let's say that the opponent has Deny. If the opponent has the Deny, they can survive this. Otherwise, they lose the game, right? So it has to be exactly Deny. Homecoming is not enough. I don't think there's anything that the opponent has that really punishes us here. Because even if they do the Defiant Dance to bounce this back, yep, there you go. We don't lose to this attack. So we don't lose to this attack. We still go down to 3 HP. And we can do the Rainbow Fish again, and all we lose to is... We lose to a second Ribbon Dancer. So we lose to a second Ribbon Dancer if the opponent has it. If the opponent has a second Ribbon Dancer, then they win the game. So it had to be exactly the Defiant Dance into the Ribbon Dancer. They don't have it. And we go like that. I think it's a risky play, right? It's a risky play. But I think it's worth it to do it that way. So yeah, GG's. Alright, so the last of the decks that I recommend for climbing in this next week is going to be Pantheon Yuumi. So I'm sure you all know about Pantheon Yuumi. It's one of the most popular decks for a reason, and it's because it's very, very, very strong. I would consider this deck to be the strongest deck in the game. So obviously, strongest deck in the game, I have to recommend it for you guys to play it. Now, this is one of the typical lists that you can find that a lot of people run, where one Chain Beast can be really good because it can just blow out certain opponents. Triple Saga Seeker, Bright Steel, Triple Mountain, all standard because you want to have at least some units. Guiding Touch and Pale, usually you see 3 Pale, 2 Guiding, but I like 3 Guiding just to have a little bit more health and heal against aggro, because Pantheon does get punished by aggro decks. So it loses to Pirate Aggro, loses to Spider Aggro, loses to like Nar 6, etc. So a third Guiding Touch can actually give me a little bit more of a chance in those matchups. Triple Sharp Sight, double Single Combat, Triple Cataclysm. One of the best ways to win with this deck is using Cataclysm on one of your units that has Overwhelm to be able to kill the opponent's units and be able to push for lethal. Cataclysm is also really nice because it can advance your Yuumi level up progress, as you see in one of the games today. So it can be really crazy how quickly you can level up Yuumi because of Cataclysm. Obviously, Single Combat is there to just punish the opponent and be able to get some value because your units get really big. One Hush to be able to get a little bit better into the mirror. White Flame can just get really big. It's a faded unit. Yuumi can obviously synergize with your faded units. Zenith Blade is the key card of this deck. You need Zenith Blade to be able to make your Wounded White Flame and your Saga Seekers actually be a threat to the opponent. One Bastion to protect against Vengeance in case that you don't roll Spell Shield already. One Blinded Mystic to help against the mirror. You can put this on an opponent Wounded White Flame and be able to just completely stop their big faded unit. Obviously 3 Pantheon. You can just win. Like this card just steals so many games from people. And 2 Concerted Strike to deal with big threats like Viego, Taliyah, etc. The list is pretty standard. And this deck does really well against almost every Shurima deck out there. It does really well against Feel the Rush, although not as well as it used to before because now, Feel the Rush can just play triple vengeance and stuff like that, but it still does very well against it because you can usually get some funny stuff with like Bastion or Cataclysm to be able to stop the ramp and be able to put a lot of threat on them. It beats Scouts, right? So this deck can beat a lot of other Demacia decks like Scouts and Silver Action. And he also does really, really well against Aphelios Fizz, which is one of the most popular decks recently. So the only really big weakness is going to be those aggro matchups. So the Pirate Aggro and stuff like that is really, really, really punishing. So you just got to be a little bit careful with that. He also does lose to some Ionia decks, like, let's say, like, well, maybe Karma Victor. He loses to Karma Victor, for example. But, you know, just be mindful of that. I still recommend this deck to climb if you're looking for a deck that's not like just go face like Scouts, Pirate Aggro are, or a deck that's a bit easier to play than Aphelios Fizz. This should be a lot easier to pick up than Aphelios Fizz. So yeah, you know, just doesn't hurt to play this deck is what I'm trying to get at. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the games coming out soon as I kind of showcase how the deck work out. And again, I'll put all the resources that I can in the description of this video on this deck so you kind of learn a little bit of how to play this deck. So yeah, I'll see you at the end of these two games for just a little bit of the outro. So again, thank you again so much for watching. So in this matchup, we'll be going up against Ziggs Taliyah. So, how is this gonna work out? Let's see. Very aggro hand. That's not a great way to start. You want to be able to see some units. Now, some of these spells can be really good against Ziggs Taliyah, like Concerted Strikes and the Cataclysm. But I think it's very risky in this type of deck to keep that type of hand when you can just easily just get punished by not drawing other units. Now, our hand is still not the greatest, right? We don't have any of our faded units, but at least it's not bad. And we do have stuff like Zenith Blade, right? Ooh, double Pantheon is a little bit awkward though, because we probably don't want to play Yuumi. Probably don't want to play Yuumi until we have Pantheon on the field, which is the interesting part here. There's a consideration though to play Yuumi right now, if the opponent lets us play her, just so that we at least start activating. Yeah, I think it's fine. Or we can do this. No, it's gonna be Yuumi. So I like the Yuumi here because it will allow this to grow bigger, and it can also block his units now, right? It's a little bit interesting, right? I actually want to be able to. So here's the problem. If we kill this, we're giving the opponent a landmark that they can use to be able to kill the Mountain Goat. It's just a little bit careful that we have to be worried about. Because the opponent could do the Rite of Arcane to be able to kill the Mountain Goat. Now, they do still have the Rolling Sands to be able to do just that, but at least they won't get the value from the Sarcophagus if they do it that way. I'm going to go ahead and do the Zenith Blade on this, just so that we can advance the Pantheon level up. And force the opponent to have to do something about this goat, right? If the opponent passes here, I might not mind passing back, to be honest. We also have single combat and a big goat to be able to take advantage. I might not mind passing back. Because what I'm scared of here is that if the opponent has the Rite of Arcane, they'll be able to kill this goat. I think we have to push the damage though. I think we have to push the damage even if the opponent has the Rite of Arcane. If the opponent has the Rite of Arcane and can kill the Sarcophagus, then it's a punish, but it's not a big deal. Doesn't look like the opponent has it, so we're in a decent spot now. Opponent might be trying to like aggro us down. I don't think that strategy is gonna work too well for them. Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna work too well for you, my friend. Same thing here though. Opponent kind of showed us that they don't have Rite of Arcane though, to be honest. So maybe we don't even care. We can actually potentially level up this Mountain Goat. So I'm wondering, like we can actually potentially level up the Yuumi, sorry, is what I was trying to say. So I wonder if it's actually correct. So I think it's correct to keep the Cataclysm mana open. I think it's correct to keep the Cataclysm mana open. So that we can Cataclysm this Chemist if the opponent taps out of like a... If the opponent taps out of like an answer for the Cataclysm. They're not tapping out of it though, which is a little bit unfortunate. So maybe it's not correct to do it. Because they could have like... You know what? Let's force it. I want to force the answer out of the opponent. If the opponent doesn't have Hourglass here or doesn't have Rite of Negation, then we're pushing a lot of damage. There's a lot of damage, and now Yuumi levels up next turn, which means that the Yuumi is not gonna, like, the gold is not gonna be affected by Quicksand. Wait, opponent. Wow, so opponent's actually just gonna let us win. Opponent's gonna have to have double Quicksand to stop this from being lethal. Because we can just do this. I don't think we're gonna summon more than that. I think we're just gonna go like this. Yuumi levels up because we got to 2 out of 3 earlier with the Cataclysm. And we attacked a turn ago. So opponent's gonna have to have double Quicksand here. And double Quicksand still wouldn't even kill our unit. And that's Quicksands that we don't have to worry about for later for where Pantheon is on the field. That's the first one. And only have 1. Yeah, I think opponent forgot about the Yuumi leveled up there. So yeah, you can kind of see how this deck works out. Sometimes you win with Pantheon, sometimes you win with a big goat. GG's. So in this matchup, we'll be going up against Swain Sejuani. Wow, this is actually a big counter to us because they're going to have access to like Scorched Earth and have like other pings to be able to actually stop our units. Now, I don't hate this hand. Bastion plus Guiding Touch could stop some of their stuff, right? From killing us. But this is crazy how big of a counter we are up against. Because even the Sejuani leveled up will be able to just stop us. Let's start with the Saga Seeker so that we can do the Cynic Blade on the open attack. So we can do the Cynic Blade, sorry, on our turn 3. We will take some damage here. Yeah, I guess we won't take damage here. I'm going to do the Cynic Blade. Now, there's a good chance that the opponent has Flock. But if I can bait out the Flock right now, that's also okay with me. Yep. So I'm gonna put the opponent on potentially having Flock. And if they have it, they have it. So let's say that the opponent has the Flock right here. In which case, I'm going to attack with the Mountain Goat first. If the opponent lets me heal this with the gem, then it ends up becoming really nice because we can heal it up with Guiding Touch as well. No Yuumi is kind of annoying. Okay, so Troll Shan. We still get the gem out of this, which is not bad. Again, we just have to play for the Guiding Touch play, where if we do gem, we can actually Guiding Touch this to save it from a Flock. This is interesting. I think I'm gonna pass. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it this way. We can still block, right? We still survive against a Flock. Like, let's say the opponent tries to block right here. Oh, they don't even Flock right there. So I guess we just do the White Flame and call it a day. Okay, they just wanted to get the value here, which makes sense. I think Concerti is better off on a Sejuani or a Swain, so I don't think it ever makes sense to do it. I do think, though, that I do want to buff... I want to start buffing these units up, as well as be able to trigger the Pantheon level up. So I'm going to just do this right now. So he got a unit out of this. We can do the second Cynic play right here. So now our Pantheon is already a 4 out of 5. Need to be careful about like freezes or anything like that. Opponent plays the Tusk Speaker. I think opponent's kind of playing for like the Sejuani win condition, right? Opponent's kind of playing for the Sejuani win condition. I don't think I can attack with the Saga Seeker. Yeah, I don't think I can attack with that Saga Seeker. I think what I have to try to do when the opponent plays Sejuani next time to try to pull one of my units, I need to have enough units to be able to like do Concerted Strike, right? And the Concerted will level up the Pantheon. I need that Spell Shield on that Pantheon 100%. So let's say that the opponent does the Sejuani right here. The problem is there's multiple problems here. Sejuani is definitely a problem, right? I'm surprised he went after this one. So we can shield this up. This levels up Pantheon. We can still consider strike the Sejuani. Opponent will need to have a freeze. Opponent will need to have the freeze to be able to stop this. I think we have to kill a Sejuani, right? So opponent's gonna have to have the 3 sisters or the flash freeze to stop this. But the Sejuani still takes 4 damage. Death Hand? That's not enough because we still kill. Oh, you know what happens? He levels up the Sejuani, but the Sejuani still dies because this has 1 attack. Okay, so Sejuani levels up on the stack. The dragon only does hits to her, but then the 1/2 does the 1 point of damage needed to be able to kill her. The problem here is that now we are kind of like in a bad spot, right? Like in a very bad spot. This is interesting. I can save the Bastion for the Pantheon and just commit like another buff on one of these units. Doesn't sound like the worst thing in the world to give Pantheon 6 keywords instead, but that would tap me out of any other answer because it would be 4 + 4 is 8. This puts this in out of range of almost everything though, but this still dies to a Scorched Earth. So maybe we actually do it here. We'll also just Sharp Side instead. But then the Pantheon is not getting as buffed. I think I'm gonna just Pantheon. I think I'm just gonna Pantheon. Level up Pantheon with just 5 keywords and have the Bastion to be able to put in the Pantheon if I don't get the Spell Shield. We end up getting the Spell Shield anyways. We also get the Lifesteal so we can heal back up. We get Challenger, Tough, which is not bad. The Challenger is pretty good because we can take advantage over this turn with the fact that we also have the barrier, so we can kill, for example, the Morkwolf Rager. Now we don't have a second Concertor, so if the opponent has like the Leviathan, we're in trouble. Doesn't look like they have it. Are we ever putting Bastion on one of these units? Kind of like this Sharp Side here. Kind of like this Sharp Side here. And just attacking like this. I don't know if I want to put Bastion in any of these units. I think we can use we can save the Bastion as a response. Now this is gonna die, but we can Guiding Touch it to be able to keep it alive. Opponent gets greedy and blocks here. So we can Guiding Touch to keep this alive, but then that gets punished by the opponent having like a Flock or anything like that. I guess Flock doesn't kill, it has to be exactly Scorched Earth. This is really risky. Maybe we don't utilize anything. Maybe we don't use anything here. Maybe we just let this go like this. No, I like the Guiding Touch. I like the Guiding Touch and keeping one more threat alive. So wait, this is just lethal. This is lethal because this triggers the Faded. So that's exactly 14. So now the opponent didn't show to have a freeze last turn. Okay, so there we go. They have the Scorched Earth. That's why I didn't want to commit too much on this guy. But at least we forced this out now, meaning that they're not able to kill the Wounded Wildling. Opponent's gonna need exactly another Sejuani. We also get some lifesteal, which is nice. Another Sejuani is a problem. Except that now we have Cataclysm. So now the opponent's gonna need to have Sejuani plus a way to trigger this. Interesting. You can just go like this, right? This is the safest one. Or we can go like this, and the opponent dies to their own Ember Maiden, which is okay with me. Opponent would die to their own Ember Maiden, but if the opponent has Sejuani, for example, they win the game. I think we threaten the lethal here. I think we threaten the lethal here. I think we threaten the lethal this way. I don't want to attack with the Wounded Wifeling because it's vulnerable to a second Scorched Earth. This is threatening exact lethal, and there we go. Yeah, attacking with the Wounded Wifeling means that we lose to a second Scorched Earth, which is too much of a risk. But you can kind of see Pantheon and how strong he can be. So yeah. And I think, yeah, look at that. That took us to 100 at 100. Wow, I can't count. 800 LP, which I believe is the first, actually it's my first time ever getting to 800 LP, and that took us to rank 11. So, you know, sometimes you have some fun like this when you just get to 800 LP just like nothing. Whew. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you were able to sit through all of that showcase. I meant to only showcase one game per deck, but I ended up having a lot of fun playing each of these decks, and as you saw, we got to 800 LP. So I ended up playing at least two games with each of these decks just so that I could get to that achievement. But yeah, hopefully I was able to kind of teach you a thing or two as I go through these decks. I do have longer videos pretty much on each one of these decks that are linked below in the description if you want a more in-depth description of how these decks play and more game examples that you can go off of. Again, these 4 decks are what I would recommend if you're looking to climb and get to that Platinum, Diamond, Master tier as the end of the season approaches in about 1 week. I will put a bunch of resources in the description, so forgive me for the description. It's going to be really, really long, as it's going to have a lot of videos to myself and other content creators, and also links to guides in Master Runeterra, so that you kind of learn how to play this deck a little bit more and more. Aside from that, really, I mean, good luck. Good luck if you're still looking for that climb and, you know, trying to get to that next tier rank. Some people have asked me 2 things. People have asked me how I did in my seasonal. Unfortunately, we did not make it to the top 32. That's happening this weekend. We ended up going 5-3, losing against a round 8 opponent for our last loss. I will be posting a little bit of an article in Master Runeterra about that later this week, so I'll make sure to link that, you know, with another video later this week. The other question is on the reveals reactions. Because I was away from home during this past weekend, instead of doing a reveal reaction every day, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like a bulk reaction. So tomorrow night, you're going to get a bulk reaction of both Jhin and the champion that's going to get revealed tomorrow, which we all know is going to be Illaoi. So you're going to get kind of like a bulk reaction video for those 2. And then we'll do the same thing later this week when the 2 last champions get revealed. So that's kind of how I'm going to do my deck reveal reaction. But anyways, enough rambling. I think this video is going to get pretty long because, again, I ended up playing two games with each deck. I hope I was able to teach you a couple things, and good luck again. If you like the content, please make sure to like the video below. You can also subscribe to us. We post LOR videos every single day. You can also find us on Twitch at Sirturmund, where we stream 3 to 4 times a week. Actually, if you're watching this on Monday, May 16th, we should be streaming right now. So, you know, just hop to Twitch and see us play live. And then lastly, just find us on Discord and Twitter as well. We have a Discord group where we have some people that are talking all the time, and then we also post some random nonsense on Twitter. The links to those are both in the description below. Thank you again so much for watching. Thank you for sitting through with me in this longer video, and good luck in your climb. I'll see you all again tomorrow.